The decision to postpone Nigeria's elections meets with mixed reactions. Washington eyes the Denmark attacks amid a debate on authorizing a fight against the Islamic State. And Kim and Kanye's daughter Northwest steals the show at New York Fashion Week. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Tonight we begin in Nigeria, where the Bring Back Our Girls campaigners in Abuja have launched a 6-week countdown for the rescue of the abducted Chibok girls who have been in captivity since April last year. Now, the group says the countdown will help them monitor the activities of the multinational forces as they fight to eradicate Boko Haram and free the girls.
What do we want?
Our girls back now and alive.
What do we want?
Our girls back now and alive.
The Bring Back Our Girls group has consistently in the last 291 days pressured the government to rescue the over 200 schoolgirls adopted from Chibok in April last year without the desired result. This time around, they are launching a 6-week countdown for the rescue of the girls, following the request from the military that led to the postponement of the elections last week.
The key reason adduced for the postponement of the election is to enable a massive operation against the terrorists and being able to restore peace and security to the northeast, and in the process rout the terrorists and rescue our Chibok girls. We as a movement that has been advocating for these girls are happy to begin a countdown that would enable us on a daily basis to monitor the progress.
The group has also expressed confidence in government's ability to restore security in the northeast and rescue of the schoolgirls.
Ours is with the government. We believe so much in the government, and we know that our government is capable. And right now, our government has given their words. The president himself, on the presidential media chat, we saw him, he came out to say that within the 6 weeks, the girls will be rescued. But the only thing we are doing is that we are holding our government to that. We are holding our president to his words. He has given us his words, and then we are hoping that in those days, the girls will be back.
The chairman of Chibok community in Abuja also confirmed that feelings of security returned to his community in the last few weeks.
The general feeling at Chibok now, especially in Chibok town, there is a feeling of security because there is presence of army in Chibok since the time that the Boko Haram threatened that they are gathering up about 5,000 men to come and sack Chibok. We complained, and Nigerian army has sent some troops there.
Meanwhile, other members of the group believe things could get worse if the government fails this time around.
In the heart of postponing the elections, it's not an issue now. It has been postponed. If they are saying it's for them to rescue the Chibok girls and do it, good and fine. But Nigerians be vigilant. Let's see that before you know it's 6 weeks. You're able to get the girls out, good and fine. But if they are unable to get the girls out within 6 weeks and things remain the same, it will be unfortunate for this country.
The Nigerian security heads are requested for 6 weeks to mop up their operations against Boko Haram in the northeast before the elections, now rescheduled for March 28. Having granted this request, Nigerians, including this group, hope that words will be matched with actions and peace restored to the troubled areas.
Now, there is mixed reaction to the 6-week postponement of Nigeria's presidential and parliamentary elections. The vote was delayed by the nation's independent National Electoral Commission, primarily over security concerns in northeastern Nigeria. The controversial subject was discussed on VOA's Straight Talk Africa. Here's VOA's Paul Sisko.
Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan appeared on Nigerian television to express his disappointment over the postponement. Mr. Jonathan also said the war against Boko Haram is intensifying. INEC Chairman Aturo Jega announced the controversial change a week ago.
The national elections, i.e. Presidential and National Assembly, are now to hold on March 28, 2015.
The Nigerian ambassador to the United States, Adebawawi Adefui, appeared on VOA's Straight Talk Africa, hosted by Shaka Sali Wednesday. He exclaimed his confidence that the March 28th poll will be completely above board and honest.
I can assure you, by the grace of God, it shall happen. It shall be free, fair, credible, and peaceful. And the result, the outcome of the election will reflect the will of the people of our country, Nigeria.
Also appearing on Straight Talk Africa was Nigerian Sylvester Okere, the national chairman of the USA movement for the Buhari Osabanjo campaign. He also expressed his disappointment over the postponement.
Using security as excuse, I don't think it helps us. You know, this is an undermining of democracy, and we have to face the reality. Throughout this time, both candidates have been campaigning in the far north. Was there any Boko Haram attack? But yet their rallies went successful, very successful. So the same effort, the same military, police, secret service that they put in place, if they use it just for one day for the election, everything will be okay.
Meanwhile, the leading opposition candidate, Muhammadu Buhari, acknowledges the difficult security challenges, but says elections must take place.
I wish to state strongly that our party will not tolerate any further interference in the electoral process. The rescheduled elections of 28th March and April 11th, 2015 must be sacrosanct.
The general manager and political correspondent for Channels TV in Lagos, Coyote Akintimi, says the new date for the election must be adhered to.
Boko Haram has been an issue in Nigeria since 2009. What makes anybody think that this issue can be resolved in the next 6 weeks?
But we are hoping, because Nigerians are eternally optimistic, that everything will work out. The military will beat the Boko Haram with the support of the Chadians and the Nigerians in the northern part of the country, come together and they will win them. And come March 28, we will be able to have our election.
At this point in the campaign, political observers say the race for the presidency between incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan and Muhammadu Buhari is too close to call. Paul Sisko, VOA News.
Well, Egyptian warplanes carried out airstrikes early Monday against the Islamic State group in neighboring Libya. The military says the air raids are in retaliation for the militants beheading 21 Egyptian Coptic Christians who were kidnapped in Libya. The airstrikes targeting militant training camps and weapons storage sites came hours after the Islamic State group released a video purporting to show the killings. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi had pledged in a televised speech to respond to the beheadings, calling them an abhorrent act of terrorism.
Egypt reserves the right of retaliation, and with the methods and timing it sees fit for retribution from those murderers and criminals who are without the slightest humanity.
Well, the brutal murders were portrayed as retaliation against what a masked fighter described as the hostile Egyptian church. Now, Coptic Christians make up to about 10% of the Egyptian population and suffer widespread discrimination and persecution. The Coptic Church, in a statement, called on its followers to have confidence that their great nation won't rest without retribution for the evil criminals. Now to Denmark, where Danish police say they have detained 2 men suspected of helping a gunman who killed 2 people in 2 separate shootings in Copenhagen on Saturday. The 2 men are suspected of aiding and abetting the 22-year-old alleged gunman in carrying out shootings at a free speech event and at Copenhagen's main synagogue. 1 person was killed and 3 police officers wounded in the first attack at the free speech event. Hours later, a volunteer guard at a bat mitzvah ceremony at the synagogue was killed and 2 police officers wounded. Denmark's Prime Minister Helle Thorning-Schmidt offered her condolences Sunday after visiting the synagogue.
We stand here in front of the Jewish synagogue in Copenhagen. We are devastated today. A man has lost his life in a service of that synagogue, and we are devastated. Our thoughts goes to his family. We are with them today, but our thoughts goes to the whole of the Jewish community today. They belong in Denmark. They are a strong part of our community, and we will do everything we can to protect the Jewish community in our country.
Well, the Denmark-born suspect was killed Sunday after he opened fire on officers near a train station. Police say he had a criminal record that included violence and weapons offenses. Well, the U.S. Congress is in recess this week as President Barack Obama prepares to host a summit on confronting violent extremism in American neighborhoods. The attacks in Denmark once again underscore the need for vigilance and could impact forthcoming congressional deliberations on President Obama's request for authorization to battle Islamic State militants. Here's VOA's Michael Bowman.
Attacks in Copenhagen targeting a Jewish synagogue and a free speech event appear eerily reminiscent of last month's deadly terrorist shootings in France. As violence flares anew in Europe, U.S. officials worry radicalized Muslims who joined Islamic State fighters in Iraq and Syria could slip back into the United States. Keeping track of the flow of potential terrorists to and from the Middle East is proving a daunting challenge, according to FBI Assistant Deputy Director Michael Steinbach.
I don't know every person there, and I don't know everyone coming back, so it's not even close to being under control.
It is in this atmosphere of uncertainty that President Obama asked Congress for formal but limited authorization to battle Islamic State.
It is not the authorization of another ground war, like Afghanistan or Iraq. At the same time, this resolution strikes the necessary balance by giving us the flexibility we need for unforeseen circumstances. For example, if we had actionable intelligence about a gathering of ISIL leaders, and our partners didn't have the capacity to get them, I would be prepared to order our special forces to take action.
Congress is united in wanting Islamic State defeated, but many Republicans think President Obama and his successor should have a freer hand in the fight. House Speaker John Boehner.
There's a war underway, and we're in the midst of it. But the president has tied his own hands and wants to tie his hands even further with the authorization that he sent up here.
By contrast, the proposed authorization is too open-ended for some Democratic lawmakers, like Congressman Adam Schiff.
I think it's very important that we find a way to get to yes on an authorization, but I also think it's very important that we not write another blank check. We did that 14 years ago with the 2001 authorization.
Lawmakers will use this week to hear from constituents at home on a variety of topics, including the fight against Islamic State. Deliberations on protecting America will begin in earnest next week when legislators face a more immediate deadline, funding domestic security operations that expire at the end of the month. Michael Bowman, VOA News, Washington.
The United Nations Security Council is demanding that Shia Houthi rebels in Yemen restore the Sana'a government and immediately release U.S.-backed President Abed Rabo Mansour Hadi and his ministers.
This is a very important milestone resolution for the situation in Yemen. Yemen is collapsing before our eyes. The Yemeni people are pleading for help. They're asking for help. And this is an opportunity where the United Nations, where the international community has demonstrated unity and a single voice in responding to the pleas of the Yemeni people.
Well, the demands are included in a resolution adopted unanimously Sunday by the 15-member council. The measure also calls on the Iran-backed rebels to engage in good faith in UN-brokered peace talks. There was no immediate rebel response to the UN move. On Saturday, tens of thousands of Yemenis protested against the country's takeover in the central town of Ib. Houthi gunmen fired on protesters, wounding at least 4 people. Well, now we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, major U.S. banks halt remittance services to Somalis. We'll explain why after the break. Stay with us.
Hockey's my passion, but it's not always easy standing out on the ice.
I credit my parents with giving me the discipline and confidence to follow my dream. I became the first black official for the National Hockey League. To me, Black History Month celebrates sacrifices like my father made to give our multicultural family a better life. My name is Jay Shares, and I'm an official for the National Hockey League.
I used to be painfully shy. It was my mom who encouraged me to do theater. Theater showed me it's okay to be different. It's okay to be yourself. I actually fell into cooking by chance. The socialization in the kitchen, I was intrigued. Today, I cook with love. To me, Black History Month celebrates our ancestors' contributions and sacrifices so that we can think about the future. My name is Carla Hall, and I'm a television host and chef.
Welcome back. A major financial lifeline for Somali citizens has been cut off after most major U.S. banks have ended remittance services to Somalis after new regulations were passed to stop money from getting into the hands of terrorists such as Somalia's Al-Shabaab. Now, funds sent back home to Somalia are critical for many families and businesses in a country that lacks a proper financial system from years of fighting. About 40% of all Somali families rely on remittances from another country, and the estimated annual total of $1.3 billion is more than all foreign aid and investments in Somalia combined. Now, Somalia's Prime Minister, Omar Abdulshad al-Sharmake, recently called on American officials and U.S. banks to reconsider that decision. Now, for more on what impact this might have on the Somali people, I'm now joined by phone from Mogadishu by Daoud Awais. He's a spokesperson of the Somali president. Daoud, this is a very critical thing to the Somalis. You have actually been quoted as saying it is a disaster. What do you mean by that?
I can say it's a disaster because it's something that's going to affect almost half of our population. About 40% of our people depend on remittance sent by hardworking Somalis living abroad. And imagine in a country like Somalia, where almost all infrastructures and institutions collapsed during the civil war, it's not the appropriate time to take such a severe decision of cutting the feeding power, which is the remittances. This is going to affect our economy, and wherever there is economic problem, you know that there will be spiritual challenge as well.
Now, Daoud, have U.S. officials, bank officials and Somali officials been working to resolve this problem so that there won't be a need to stop the sending of money to Somalia?
These concerns have been there that the money might go to the wrong hands. On our side, the Central Bank of Somalia and other financial institutions have been trying hard to ensure money laundering issues are addressed properly. The bank has now a functioning department for anti-money laundering. So we have been expecting American banks and their government to acknowledge that and work with our central bank. But instead, this decision came out, which is really unfortunate. We are always in full cooperation with the U.S. To fight terrorism and stop money going to wrong hands like Al-Shabaab and other extremist groups. And we still hope that there might be some solution to this because Somalia is coming from a civil war and all institutions are just coming up.
Now, in terms of alternatives, what do you have? What options are there for the Somali people and for the Somali government?
So far, we don't have such a significant options of helping these needy people of Somalia. But what we can say is that the remittance cannot be the ultimate goal for money transfer business. We need the central bank to take a big role in facilitating needy Somalis to get money from relatively smoothly and to make sure that we revive our institutions. We still need help. The bank has just started its services. It's not as a big service that can be offered by other banks in the world. but we are just reviving our institutions, and our central bank is one of them. Yes, we will come with a mechanism to control the work of remittance, and I hope the U.S. and other foreign governments will work also with the Somali government to ensure that they also take part in the efforts of trying to help Somalia stand on its feet again after the civil war.
All right, we hope for the best. Mr. Awais, thank you very much for joining us today. Dawood Awais is the spokesperson of the president of Somalia. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. New York Fashion Week's smallest attendee steals the show. We'll be right back.
Attended, now they extend.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Now, the most talked about attendee of Fashion Week was also the smallest. 19-month-old Northwest was the star attraction at Fashion Week. The stylish toddler sat with her parents Kanye West and Kim Kardashian in the front row at the Alexander Wang show, where her aunt Kendall Jenner was modeling. Now, the Wests shared front row real estate with pop singer Nicki Minaj. In case you're wondering, Alexander Wang's runway vision was black, black, and more black. Now, that was North's second appearance in the front row at New York Fashion Week. She was joined by her mother, Kim Kardashian, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and other celebrities as Daddy Kanye West rolled out his Yeezy boot line for Adidas. Models wore minimal neutral tights or streetwear in red, green, and black to let the shoes shine in a tech-driven unveiling that included a simulcast to 42 theaters on 3 continents around the world. A mysterious Yeezy website with a countdown clock had gone up earlier this month to stoke excitement over the highly anticipated release of West's inaugural collaboration with Adidas Originals. And finally, celebrities tap their inner and outer fabulous for a good cause. Supermodel Naomi Campbell gathered up her famous friends to help raise money towards the fight against Ebola. The 44-year-old Campbell appeared towards the middle of the Fashion for Relief runway show, with the audience erupting in applause for the veteran catwalker. Now, the cheers continued as television personality Paris Hilton strutted her staff. Fashion for Relief was set up in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina to raise money for charity from the fashion community. And that is what is trending today. Well, it was an exciting week in pro basketball. Here with the latest news and notes on the Big Apple extravaganza is Sunny Young with the sunny side of sports. Hello, Sunny.
Hello, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. Let's tip off with pro basketball. The Western Conference All-Stars beat the Eastern Conference All-Stars Sunday night 163-158 in the annual NBA All-Star Game in New York City. There we see Russell Westbrook taking a shot. The Oklahoma City Thunder guard scored a game-high 41 points and was named the most valuable player. LeBron James scored 30 points for the East in this popular contest that never features much defense. A crowd of more than 17,000 attended the game at Madison Square Garden in New York. One of the celebrities on hand was former U.S. President Bill Clinton, who sat courtside next to former NBA star Dikembe Mutombo. It was a big weekend for Congolese giant Dikembe Mutombo. While in New York, he was announced as one of the 12 finalists for the Basketball Hall of Fame. Mutombo says it hasn't been a solo journey, and he's been helped by various people along the way.
I think it's both. As a player, we don't see ourselves as just a basketball player. We see ourselves as a human being. There's so many people that come to our way of life to make sure that we succeed. So we make sure that we balance our life with off the court and off the court. So I'm very happy to be here and sitting around all the great guys I see from Willis Reed, Dominic, Moses Malone, and Alonzo Mourning, and all those guys. I don't know how to express myself today.
An 8-time NBA All-Star, Dikembe Mutombo has balanced his life off the basketball court. As a well-known humanitarian, he started the Dikembe Mutombo Foundation to improve conditions in his homeland, the Democratic Republic of Congo, in 1997. One of the foundation's big projects was the opening in 2007 of a nearly $30 million hospital in his birthplace of Kinshasa. I'm Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Sending the ball back to Vincent McCory.
Thank you very much, Sonny, and be sure to watch the sunny side of sports every Monday and Friday right here on Africa 54. Well, and that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com for more news. Tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa. That's between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us here in Washington, have a good night.
Welcome to the Voice of America's Newswords, where we teach you about words you hear in the news.
This word has to do with helping people after Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines.
The U.S. military and the Australian government have deployed supplies and rescue personnel to Dikembe and surrounding areas, and the U.S. says it is providing $20 million in humanitarian aid.
The word humanitarian means showing concern for other people.
The United States provided search teams, food, water, and medicine as part of its humanitarian help to the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan struck their country in 2013.
Now, when you hear humanitarian, you will know what this news word means.